Move. Move, move, move. Our joints are designed to move. Hello everybody and welcome to the Hälsa Health Show, where we help your body play at 100%. Today we are talking about the second leading cause of sick leave in the UK, and that is
arthritis.
Yep. Now, arthritis is very, very common. We all know about it. We all hear about it. However, we're talking about a specific type of arthritis on this show.
Yes, so today we're going to be speaking specifically about osteoarthritis, which is one of the most common forms, which we see regularly in our practice and in the clinics.
Yep.
So, yep.
This is the one where people always talk about in old age, you get arthritis or there's some type of degeneration. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about today. Yes. And we thought as a first step is we'd like to explain what actually happens with arthritis, why we get it. So there are many different reasons. I mean, there are different reasons associated with arthritis. Some people say there is a genetic component. We'd like to disagree with that a little bit. Not saying that there isn't a genetic component, but it is not the overriding factor. This idea that because my grandmother had arthritis or my mother has arthritis, that's why I've got arthritis, that's an idea we want to throw out.
Yes, so to just quickly bust some myths. Movement is good, movement is okay, and a lot of people will develop arthritis from not moving enough. So that's something which is really important and something we want to get across today. But some of the major causes really are previous traumas and injuries, which may have been a catalyst for this process starting, which Quinton's going to speak a little bit more about now.
Yeah, so we all know that we have joints all over our body, and every joint basically has the same structure. You have a bone and you have another bone, and there's two bony surfaces that are near each other. Now those bony surfaces are covered by something called cartilage. Now there's different types of cartilage that exist in the body, but we know that around joints there's a specific type of cartilage. This cartilage acts like a smooth surface, so the bone actually doesn't touch each other. It's the cartilage which is like a lubricant between the joints. It's more like a protective surface for the joints themselves. And then around every joint as well, you've got something called a capsule. This capsule holds a fluid in it. Again, it's like oil in your car, this fluid. It keeps the joint surfaces nice and smooth when they're moving over each other. Now, in life, we are in a constant state of flux between wear and tear, because that does happen in life,
yes,
and repair. So your body knows that if something gets worn a little bit, it will then repair that area. So let's say you have some type of injury, and you've worn down an area of your cartilage, your body will naturally go in and repair it. That's normal.
Yes.
And generally your body is able to manage that. But if you have some type of trauma and there is quite a bit of damage in the joint, in that the cartilage may be knocked out of place slightly, or there can be a fracture or some type of high velocity impact, that can change the cartilage surface, and the cycle of wear and tear and repair goes out of balance. So your body can't really keep up with the repair. So what then happens is that cracks form inside the cartilage. And that then predisposes you for fluid actually going into these cracks and going into the bone. And it kind of gives it little cysts inside the bone surface. These cysts then cause bone to react around it, and then we get this irregular joint surface. That means that where something was smooth, it's not smooth anymore. And that's that grinding sound that you can hear in joints. Yes. Sometimes. That's what people say hurts when they're walking or when they're doing a certain activity. It's because new irregular bone is rubbing against other new irregular bone. And that is what we call osteoarthritis.
Absolutely. So very simply, it's when a joint becomes inflamed because of those processes which happen. But just as well on there, we have our muscles attaching to the bone around there, and keeping those strong, keeping those healthy by moving is going to protect that cartilage in there. So that's really, really important as well.
Now, the one thing is with arthritis, and we do say this often to people, sometimes we can take an x-ray, if clinically indicated, and we can see that the bone is degenerated. Now, the one thing with bone is that once it has degenerated or changed shape, it is very difficult, in some cases impossible, to change the bone shape back to what it was originally. There have been some remedies and trials which have shown that they can change it slightly,
Yes.
that extra bone, but you generally can't get rid of it. So it's there. It's something that we have to manage. So Marie is a physiotherapist. She works in practice, is very successful in helping treating people with arthritis. So what do you do to help people manage this?
So there's a number of different things. One of the main things is really to, on your assessment, assess what is happening in the joint, the severity of what's happening, and what is that person doing in their daily routine to either make things more inflamed or progressively worse, and what can they do to help themselves. So number one, that's really, really important. Number two is to look at the hands-on work that you can do to help that joint to move more efficiently. So if you have came into it with a sports injury, there's some issue with your cartilage, and you're presenting with arthritis, then we can do hands-on work to help with moving that joint, to help get that moving back as quickly as you can, so you're not getting tightness in the muscles around it and therefore restricting how you're moving, because that will then have a knock-on effect on other joints such as ankles, hips, knees, or depending on where that injury may be. So that's what we want to work.
I think the key thing that Maria has been saying here is this. Move. Move, move, move. Our joints are designed to move. If you don't move, that's when you're going to have difficulty, especially when there's degeneration in the joint.
Absolutely.
We also know that in a joint with this fluid that's in here, if you don't move, the body lays down a fibrous tissue there. That makes the joint even more difficult to move, and it speeds up degeneration. So we do know that with arthritis, initially movement can be painful.
Yes.
But the point is to push through that.
Absolutely.
To keep movement going, because if you don't move, you're going to speed this up. So you had an analogy earlier of a marathon runner. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So, we see a lot of people in clinic, but you can come in and see a 70-year-old man who's lovely and fit, or a lady, whoever it may be, and they've been exercising and being nice and healthy, albeit they've been doing lots of long distance impact, and they may have wear and tear in their joints or present with, on x-ray or on scans, some of these degenerative changes. They may be a very healthy individual and have good muscle strength and be very fit and active, and may not present with any symptoms. On the opposite spectrum, we may see a 70-year-old person who comes in and they have a very inactive lifestyle, and they're not moving. They don't have sufficient muscle strength around the joints because they are not moving. Therefore, they're in more pain or inflammation, and that leads into a bit of a vicious cycle. They don't want to move, and this process keeps going round and round until that wear and tear becomes progressively worse, and they're looking at something a bit more severe. So that fit and active person who you may think is causing a lot of wear and tear with all that impact and that with their activities, are actually a lot fitter, healthier, and they're moving, and that's the real key thing.
Yeah. Movement is life, right? And for any joint to stop that degeneration, to keep it healthy and to keep this fibrous tissue away, move, 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 and stay hydrated.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
There are some natural remedies that you can use to help with arthritis. I think you had read up about those earlier.
Yes, so you can get ginger, turmeric in terms of your natural anti-inflammatories, which are good to have in your diet, but generally just being aware of what you're eating. Keeping hydrated is one of the key things as well, so that you're not spiraling down into increasing more weight or more stress on those joints. Again, that's going to take a lot of pressure and then prevent this cycle from happening and further progressing. So very simple.
We also know that a lot of people take painkillers for arthritis. Now, we're not saying that's a bad thing, because there are times when it's really sore.
Yes.
However, do painkillers fix the problem?
No. Painkillers are going to mask that problem that's happening, and you may get some effects of where that's helping to reduce the inflammation as a whole that's happening in your body, but it's not really getting to the cause or the issue of what's happening. So really, you want to make sure that you're not reliant on them, and you're able to get out, move, get to the source of what's happening, and then be able to move forward from that and not allow it to control your life. So that's really, really key. I would say a lot of the people who come in at a later stage, and they may have tried pain medication and it just hasn't worked for them, and they're looking at a way to help progress it and move past this, rather than it taking over their daily routine.
So there you have it. We know that we can help with arthritis. We know that we can help you manage it. We know we can help with your pain. So please come and see us in the clinic, especially during this week. We would love to assess you. We would
Absolutely.
love to help you get back on track and get you moving.
Yes.
So thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Let's get moving.